Hey, it's Travis. Too many camp directors run just on gut feel. Our free Resilient Camp Blueprint Diagnostic is your dashboard for resilience. Take it today at camp.mba/Travis. Again, that's camp.mba/Travis. Hey, did you notice that?
This is CampHacker. Come find our show notes and our blog for camp directors and leaders at camphacker.tv.
Camp leaders, win back your time to what matters most, your campers. Bolin's comprehensive accounting back office solutions and tech-enabled team free up your staff to focus on your mission. Visit bolinhq.com to learn more and book a free 2-hour financial diagnostic.
Remember what sparked your passion for camp? Ultra Camp knows it's about the people, not the paperwork. That's why they built a platform to simplify your camp management. Learn more at ultracampmanagement.com/camphacker. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CampHacker podcast, brought to you by the Staff Recruiting and Retention Email Course from Beth and Matt and me. I'm Travis Allison. I simplify technology for camp professionals, reduce director overwhelm, improve parent communication, and I automate your administrative tasks so you can focus on the thing that I believe is most important in the world, noticing and appreciating the kids around you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Hudson. I'm a camp consultant specializing in making camps safer for family, campers, and staff, regardless of how they identify. Also, I started a camp called Camp Highlight, which you should look up because it's really super cool.
Welcome to it, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Before we talk about the topic, let me just say I would appreciate it if you on the app that you're using or even on YouTube could leave a little review for the show. We always appreciate those, and it helps us design the show going forward. If you don't have that built into your app, you can go to ratethispodcast.com/camp, and then you click the ratings and reviews button there. Chris, interesting topic today. I'm pretty excited. So we are talking about what Scott Arizal simply calls noticing skills.
Yes. Just being able to notice. Do you want me to set this up? Do you want to set it up?
Yeah, please go.
So, okay, listeners, you should know, Travis and I talked about this like 10 minutes ago. And we're like, yes, we should talk about this. And we are pretty excited about it. The idea is like, how do we make sure that our programs are dynamic and are going to be accessible to people, regardless of their level of ability or what language they speak at home or what all those different identifiers that people have. Now, I know that it can seem overwhelming to be like, well, how do I make sure the program's accessible? How do I remove barriers? That's not our conversation today. Our conversation today is just how do we make sure that we are aware and paying attention to our programs so that if we do need to make changes, we can. Because I think people want to jump to, okay, how do I make this safe for gay campers or neurodivergent staff or Taiwanese families or whatever? Let's not start there. Let's start with let's look at our programs. Like Travis said, noticing skills, right? What is it about our programs that could be changed? How are we being responsive to every year, new kids coming in, new staff coming in? So that's pretty much the setup. That's what we want to talk about today.
And I want to make sure that we start by focusing on this is a skill that you can learn, and it's a skill that you can teach. And we think it's a very important skill to train, to put some time and energy in. Yes, it makes things overwhelming sometimes. I would say often.
Yeah.
But when you just think I can make one change today, and that's my day, is make a change. It is important that you have people look around. So one of the things that I have had the privilege of doing was being a firefighter. And one of the things that they teach us is to always look up. And so if you're in a burning building, you can't look up because that's where all the smoke is. But in other situations, you have to think not just what's at eye level and below you, which is what the stuff we see all the time, but it teach you to look up because we're looking for electrical wires and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's a skill that reminds me that a lot of people don't do that. And that's a thing you could do at camp. That's when you see things like, oh, that dead branch is hanging over that path we use all the time, and someone could get seriously hurt. Mm-hmm. But we're not just talking about looking up. We're just saying, look at the things you don't usually look at and do what it takes to lose that blindness that you have
Yes.
to your programs. I've talked about this many times on the show before. I'm going to reiterate, one of the things I love to do is have a friend who hadn't been at camp in a long time come and say, tell me what I will say to them. Tell me what you see. You won't offend me. I need to see things differently.
Yes.
And that's when I realized that the dumpster was sitting. The first thing when people pulled in the driveway was just dumpster that had been
Yikes.
fully pulled apart by raccoons every time. And so we're like, oh, right. I hadn't thought of that. So just getting yourself to break a pattern, see things differently, change your angle. I mean, photographers, we learn that all the time,
Hmm.
that in everything you want to take a picture of that's sort of happening naturally, not stage stuff, you want to go wide, medium, close. And
Hmm.
that ability is something that you can train.
Yes. Okay. So to start this conversation, I want to say the biggest, what I think is the biggest barrier to noticing
Mm,
is this idea of tradition. We've always done it this way.
mm,
Every camp I've been at has some version of this.
mhm.
Even at Camp Highlight, we have some version of this. And like
Yeah.
we try to be really proactive. We've always done it this way. And
Mm,
it takes us a while to really break out of that. And it takes a lot of going back and forth, being like challenging each other
yeah.
about why do we do it this way? Because you know what? Listen, 5 years ago in the middle of the pandemic, listen, that was wild. Remember the pandemic? That was wild. But every 5 years, things change. It's not always a worldwide catastrophe, but every 5 years, your campers change. The staff absolutely change. Maybe the families you're attracting have changed because the demographics of the area have changed. It's worthwhile to, when things come up like, well, we've always done it that way, those are the first things you need to look at. And
Yeah.
I want to start by saying, because listen, I'm a camp person too, and I understand the connections to tradition.
Mhm.
Traditions are not bad. It's good to have them. I'm asking for a shift to thinking about, from thinking about tradition to thinking about legacy. What do you want people to say about your camp in the future? Do you want them to say that you are responsive, that you are welcoming to people, that anyone can go there and have a good time? Or do you want people to say, wow, they came up with an idea in 1936 and they've really stuck to it? What do you want people to say? So I just want to start by saying, love traditions, love them, and you can keep some version of them.
Examined traditions.
Examine, you can keep some version of them, so it's you don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. For instance, let's say I'm making stuff up. Let's say before lights out, all the camp gets on the green and they all hold hands and sing a song.
Mm,
That's lovely.
mhm.
Disruptive, but lovely. Let's say there's a camp that does that, right? Sure, that's great. Over time, the song that you sing might need to change
Mhm.
because the references in it, because of whatever it is. We can hold on to some parts of tradition while being really responsive to the times.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I want to say is that tradition, great, legacy, even better, because that's what we're all working towards, right? How are people going to remember us in the future looking back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
This topic brings up so many things. Like I've talked about this before, but I know that not everybody's listened to every episode. In fairness to you, the listener, um, so two things that I have said before that I think apply at this, just developing the skill of seeing, noticing things differently. Number one, one thing about the skill. Number one is if you implement the idea of lean at your camp and you have a declaration, a commandment at your camp that everybody's responsible for making it 2 seconds better every day, that trains people to notice things. I often am surprised, and I've learned that it's just part of the way my ADHD brain works. I pick up on, I mean, I miss lots of things in the world, but I pick up on things that other people don't.
Mhm.
And that has been very helpful in my career as a camp director or my work as a consultant, where I am able to kind of break through some of those, like the nose blindness of camp sometimes. And so that that can be trained. And there's simple ways to do it. I would say I'm going to give you my tool of the week. We'll give you some different ways to add in some of that training. But the other thing that I think is a philosophical thing, other than the action of learning how to note, it goes back to your traditions point, Chris, is that
Mhm.
the best camps accept that change is God. Change is always going to happen. Change is neutral. It's not good or bad. you can make it one way or the other, but it will happen whether or not you
Mhm.
want it. And the more you fight it, the worse it becomes. But if you accept that and think, good, I'm going to make sure that our change is as good as we can make it.
Yeah. And I want to put a point on that. You can't fight change.
Mhm.
It's things are going to change one way or another. And if you hold on to old ideas, if you are very, very rigid about traditions, what will change is probably like your enrollment.
Yeah, less
Something
people.
will change. So it's better to be ahead of that than be behind it. To develop that skill, Travis, you alluded to this earlier. You want to develop this skill? Visit someone else's camp.
Oh, yes.
Call one of your friends, say, and I know we're all busy, but if you could visit another camp in operation and
Yeah.
just walk around, and you can reflect that back to the camp director, or you can just for yourself, what do you notice? Right? Because you're bringing fresh eyes to a new situation. Conversely, at your own camp, and we do this, we do two things. One,
Yeah.
we ask new staff halfway through, what would you change about this to make it better?
Yeah.
And sometimes the responses we get, honestly, are like wild. I'm like, wow, I never would have thought about
Yep.
that.
Yep.
I never really thought about the impact of that before. The other thing that we do, one of our traditions, we take our youngest campers. We have one particular day where we bring them to the director's cabin on the porch. We get little cupcakes and little cups of lemonade, and we have a little party where they make suggestions about how to make camp better. Now, their suggestions have traditionally been things like every cabin needs their own cabin pet. Can you do something about the hills? Can we have zip lines from that low from the cabins to the dining hall? Yes, there's a lot of that, but there's also a lot of stuff we'd be able to implement. And it's coming right from the horse's mouth, like asking these kids what would make this better. That's a way to generate recommendations. But when it comes to training the skill, as Travis is talking about, it's just allowing yourself to step one step to the left, right off the path of what we would normally do. Because when you get a suggestion, you have to weigh it. Is it possible? Is it not possible? Now, that's a whole thing, right? Is it possible? If it's not
Mhm.
possible, is it financially possible? Is it socially possible? It's not really the question. Again, we're not talking about removing the
Implementation.
barriers.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just setting your mind. And you might be listening to this, be like, wow, this seems like such a faint suggestion they're making. It's not. I've been to a lot of camps where people, I ask them a simple question like, why would you do cookie time now as opposed to later when everyone's together? You got to chase all these kids down. And they're like, oh, literally never thought of that before. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how could you not have thought about that before? It's
Mhm.
clear to
Mhm.
me, which is why you should visit other camps and encourage people to come visit your camp, other
Yes.
professionals, to give you feedback.
Yep. And you'd learn to watch some of those things. And one of those things that one of my first camp visits I ever went to, and I went, oh, that's interesting. I was getting a tour by the camp director, and we're walking around, and he was doing like every camp director I've ever walked on a tour with. He's walking around, he's talking to me, he's explaining things, he's bending over and picking up little pieces of garbage and putting it in his pocket, like
Yeah.
all that. It's like, yes, that is a camp director skill. Just that little see things. You're like, we did clean up, honestly. I'm not even making excuses for it because another camp director will know that you're just going to have garbage sometimes.
Mm.
But I was then the second half of the day I was on my own. I'd been introduced. They're like, just let Travis come in and see things. Their staff did not do that. So those skills of seeing garbage, not piles, but wrappers and things on
Mhm.
the ground had not translated down to their staff. And that's such an easy indicator of whether or not you're doing okay is to watch to see if your staff walks past garbage. It's the same as like, which is, I mean, that's minute.
Mhm.
I know tons of staff that would never walk past a crying camper, but
Huh.
would walk past garbage. So obviously one's more important than the other, but it's a thing that your staff is tuned to those skills when they start to see things more than the obvious crying camper in front of their face.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, I can't stress enough that I love that you made the connection to the staff
Hmm.
because how do I want to put this? As you know, because I've said this on many episodes, I'm not here to Gen Z bash. I know that's really popular, people in my generation. I'm not here to Gen Z bash, but Generation Z, these young kids today in their 20s,
Mm.
they, I, in my opinion, They prefer to be told exactly what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. There's a rigidity there that I don't entirely understand. And sometimes part of that rigidity is them ignoring things, right?
Mm.
Ignoring things but you said to do this and it doesn't,
Mm.
you said never to wake the kids. So when the fire started, I just figured I would leave. Like, it's dramatic.
Yeah.
But like Travis is saying, it's really important to make this part of your training, the
Part of your
noticing.
culture.
Yeah, part of your culture, the noticing. At our staff meetings, we had big evening activities. And me and the other director, we wouldn't actually go to it because our gravity was so much, we would alter the behavior of both the campers and the staff.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd stay, I'm not kidding, we'd stay from afar, we'd set up beach chairs and we'd have binoculars and we'd look. that's a true story,
That
right?
is awesome.
We'd pass the binoculars back and forth,
Yeah.
and we'd laugh and giggle and talk about what's going on over there.
Yeah.
In the staff meetings, we'd be like, I would ask, well, what did you notice about today?
Yeah.
And the first couple of times I did this, silence, right?
Yep.
And they'll say things like, well, it was fun. And I'm like, well, what made it fun? And who was it fun for? Was it fun for
Yep.
you? Was it fun for the kids, the older kids, the younger kids? And you could see the wheels start to turn that, oh, I didn't really think about that. As time went on, as camp went on, this part of the staff meeting, they were ready because they were trained.
Yes, exactly. That's what
they were ready.
I'm scribbling down right now. Yep.
Exactly. They're ready for the question because now when they're at the evening activity, they'll be like, you know what's better at casino night? The table where they get all the stuff, there should be 2 tables because there was a big glut
Right,
there and
yeah.
it was blocking the door. And I'm like, great. I'm glad that you noticed that. Whether or not we change anything is not the point, but changing the culture around these sort of dynamic things is super important.
Yeah. I agree.
Do you have a point? I want to make another point, but do you have a point you want to make?
Well, it was something about, right, it was about empowering your staff, changing the expectation of your staff, setting the expectation that this is how we do things here. It's our culture to notice things that people wouldn't notice in the real world. I find just that little bit of pride, like this is a special place. We have a special experience and a special privilege. That's that. But empowering your staff because you can't see it all. No matter how small your camp is huge. The details of camp is huge. So you need everyone there to have that mindset. Again, you're not going to be able to make all the changes all at once. Some changes have took me 10 years to make, but we made them. So that's my thing. You go ahead. I've got some kind of tips and tricks for when we get to that section.
Okay, cool.
No.
It's the thinking about it though. I can't stress this enough.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting anyone start removing the barriers. That's a different podcast. This is just about learning to look. And I want to say about learning to look when it comes to like race, gender, language, ethnicity, the rest of that stuff. I wouldn't be Chris Hudson if I didn't talk about this. But like when we talk about noticing, it's always good to notice who's not being successful at this activity, right? Start here. Who is successful at this activity? Who is less successful activity? And what I mean by that is campers, their participation rate. At our campfires, everyone's been to a campfire, right? There's always that row of kids in the back who loud noises are very difficult for them.
Yep.
Okay. What can we do about that? Right. So that's a different podcast, but just noticing, I noticed that the same 6 kids can't handle this. Right. That's interesting. I should think about that when it's like football night or something else that's really loud. I should just notice their behavior there as well. But when it comes to like bedtime routines, I know with bedtime routines and when the kids had to get ready for like a dance or something, like the Black kids were particular about needing more time just because our hair and our skin requires certain care. And they were the ones who brought up, it's like, there's just not enough time in the schedule. And which like me as a Black person, I was like, I didn't think about that because obviously I'm not running on their schedule. I do what I want to do. But that's what I'm saying about noticing these little things about bedtime. Who is the last to fall asleep by report from the counselors? Who is having trouble? Do those kids share characteristics, any which way, shape, or form? That's all I'm asking you to do is to ask those questions.
Yep.
Especially around one more thing, especially around ability.
Yeah.
It's because a lot of athletics at our camp, if you have a camp with athletics, a lot of it, like running, jumping, spinning, getting on the floor. And that's lovely. I love that. A lot of kids they're not just reticent to do it, maybe they can't do it. Luckily, we have access to kids' medicals, so we're going to have a lot of information about their physical self
Mhm.
as they come to camp. But we just want to be mindful about, especially, oh God, I don't want to go on and on and on. Like learning styles, like you
Yeah.
think about how we deliver
Yeah.
activity instructions.
Yeah.
Who is successful? Why are we delivering it this way? Who does
Yeah.
this work out for? There's
Mhm.
4 different learning styles. I'm not going to go into them. Look them up. But like me, I learn best from reading. If you tell me how to do something, I'm it's like mice running in a wheel in my head. I'm just waiting for
Yeah.
you to stop so I
Yeah.
can just look it up and read
Actually
it
learn it.
myself.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm just like, okay, yada, 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 yada. It doesn't make me the best listener for instructions.
Yeah.
So maybe that's your kids. Who is successful and why? So
And why can't we present rules for a game, a camp-wide game, where somebody stands on something on a picnic table and says, "Okay, here's how we're going to play the game," explains the rules, and then half the people don't get, like, why can't we hold up the rules at the same time we're explaining the rules so the Crescents can read the rules while
mhm.
those like me who would rather just listen can just listen? Why can't we do that?
And we absolutely can.
Yes.
And you absolutely should.
Yeah.
When we have big events, we
Mm.
do one, we print out all the rules for those events.
Yeah.
We give them to the cabins the
Yeah.
night before,
Yeah.
right? So they get around a circle and the older kids read to the younger kids. Then during the free time, we have a trial run. We usually do this when we do big events like the
Sure.
Olympics.
Yeah.
So they have an opportunity to try out some of these things. So that's good for the
Yeah.
kinesthetic learners who
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
move their body, right?
Yes.
And then finally on the night of the event, that's when we tell them the instructions.
Mhm.
So we've covered 3 types. We've covered 3 types of learning so that everyone can access that.
So good.
This is like high level stuff, like as far as like thinking about this sort of stuff, and you
Mhm.
can get there. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of understanding that, and I'm just going to say this bluntly, understanding that the way that you run your camp, you are necessarily leaving some kids out, even as mindful as you're being. I know that's true for our camp as well. That knowledge keeps me noticing.
Yeah.
Me noticing when we get the enrollment and I'm like, okay, we have this many kids, like maybe 8% of them are just going to be left out in the cold. What can I
Yeah.
do about that? What can I do before they arrive, before I meet them, after I meet them?
Are you okay to move on to tips and tricks?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm
Okay,
ready.
great.
Every year, it's the same thing. Lots of hours spent working on the daily schedules, only for there to be mistakes, missed activities, and lots of stress. Why is it so difficult? There's got to be a better way. And there is. Camptivities, an activity scheduler made specifically for camps. Group scheduling or camper scheduling, we've got you covered. Different day schedules, no problem. Auto scheduling, elective scheduling, batch scheduling. Schedule the way that works for your camp. With over 60 reports, you'll be able to see the data easily. When a parent calls and says, my camper didn't get an activity week 1, pull up the group activity tracker and see exactly when that activity was scheduled all summer long. Modernize the way you do activity scheduling. Make it easier to collaborate with team members. Get rid of the mistakes and make sure your campers are getting to all of your activities. We'd love to show you the next big thing in camp. Don't wait until the new year. Now's the time to find a better way to schedule and save 15% for the first year. Let us help you get away from your desk and back out in camp. Visit camptivities.com to set up a time to chat.
Exclusive to CampHacker listeners. Generate fresh ideas for activities, staff training, marketing campaigns, and more with UltraCamp's plug-and-play AI prompt guide. Download it for free at ultracampmanagement.com/camphacker. Managing your camp shouldn't be a trade-off between quality and cost. With UltraCamp, you get powerful, user-friendly tools that are designed to fit your camp's budget. No compromises necessary. UltraCamp offers clear and flexible options, simple pricing that you can trust. Low minimum entry, clear pricing with no hidden fees, flexible payment terms, and no long-term contracts. Get back to what you love. UltraCamp helps you spend less time on admin tasks and more time creating unforgettable camp experiences. Ready to see if UltraCamp is the perfect fit? Schedule your free personalized demo at ultracampmanagement.com/camphacker. One of the things that we changed over time or acknowledged over time, listen, I will say this. Beth and I co-directing, we were a great pair because we both noticed very different things. And I learned a ton because Beth has a a level of intention around camp that I didn't have. I just learned to develop it because I admired the way she did it so much. But we noticed different things. But one of the things we realized is that because I'd been there 2 summers before Beth, I tended to draw in a lot of extrovert counselors because that's how I like to be at camp. It wasn't how I changed over time, but it's just that the loud, screamy, laughy kind of people there were a lot of. And we realized that we need to make sure that we hire counselors who can do those things, will put themselves out there to do those things, but are also the ones that will pull a quiet kid aside and notice that that kid's just not doing a full participation that you expect
Absolutely.
from them. And that was a huge culture shift for us, was acknowledging we need to have much less super in your face, happy at the front of everything camp people, and much more of the people who notice the quieter ones.
Exact and we've talked about this on this podcast
Yep.
before,
Yep.
but it bears repeating, especially around your hiring, making sure
Mhm.
you're hiring different kinds of people, and I
Yep.
mean different along all axes,
Uh-huh.
because not only is that right and proper and morally correct, it gives you access to people who already think and see things differently. So when you ask them, what do you notice? You're going to hear things that maybe you didn't even think about before. Like Travis, I used to hire a lot of extrovert counselors until we started hiring some introverts, and they pointed out how many kids we were leaving behind.
Yep.
That was like, oh, now I
Mhm.
see. Because when I jump up on the table in a wig, that turns off a bunch of kids because they just need more time to warm up.
Mhm.
Right. So again, allowing more different kinds of staff in allows the different eyes on your situation.
Yep.
Can I just one more point? One more
We
point.
lots more points. I think we've got time.
Okay, great. I mean, it is our podcast. We do what we want. But this is related and I do want to bring it up.
Yeah, go.
That doesn't necessarily mean hiring someone because they're Black or because they're gay or
Mm.
because they're autistic,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's setting someone up for failure.
Right.
If they can do the job, fantastic, right? If they need, what's it called? When you make changes for accessibility, accommodations. If they need accommodations and you can provide them, that's great. But I want to be very clear. I am not suggesting that you just bring people on staff for the sole purpose that they can evaluate your program. No, 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 no.
Mm. Mm-mm.
We're not treating staff that way. I really want
Yeah.
to point that out
Yeah.
because at conferences, I get questions like,
Yeah.
how do I attract more Black staff? To which I'm
Yeah.
always, why do you want them there? Let's
Yeah.
be really clear. Why do you want them there?
Mhm.
Right? Is it for the picture? Is it because you're curious if the Black kids are being served at your camp? You don't need a Black person to come be on staff to tell you that,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you're not prepared for them. So I
Mm.
just wanted to make that point.
Well made. Well
Thank
made.
you.
Any other specific? I'm going to go with a couple of tips and buy you some time, but I'll let you think of some of your tips as well. One of my things is that you have to look well at different times of the day, different activities. Like you have to train yourself to look. One of the things that it took us a disturbingly long time to notice. We've said on the show that music is incredibly important to us. Setting a mood, making a safe place for everybody is incredibly important to us. So we would end every night with what we called campfire. It was often not around campfire just because we're in the woods and sometimes there's a burn ban. But that time of day was called campfire. And it involves a lot of singing. And we specifically do campfires in a specific format, loud and noisy at the beginning, something to bring people down and get them quiet, and then just quiet songs where people are dismissed in a calm manner. They've had a great experience. They're just nice and calm and ready to go to bed. Two things that happened that we changed. We used to put snack in the middle of campfire. So you would start to change the mood a little bit, and then you'd have snack and it'd be chaos. And then you go right into quiet songs. You're like, this isn't working. The other thing we learned is that if we send kids off to bed, and we'd be so intentional, we would send them off one group at a time so that they wouldn't interact and disturb each other. We'd send them out of the dining hall from this candlelit experience. Then they'd go and brush their teeth and they'd all meet up in the wash house and it would just be chaos and flashlight wars. And so we learned we had to do all that stuff before campfire. Have a snack, brush your teeth, get ready, and then send them off so they just disappear off into their cabins. We even went so far as to put switches in the cabin so there would be no overhead lights when campers were there.
I love that.
Flashlights only. Like you had to climb up in the rafters to flick the switch to turn the light on, which you could do because for an emergency, we thought it was important. And spring and fall and adult groups like lights, but That way, that mood wasn't ruined. So we were taking that to that degree because of things we noticed. It took us years to get to that point. But that
Mhm.
was one of the things that we had done.
I I have a couple of tips and tricks.
Go.
First, everything I said before, and
Mhm.
don't shoot me, okay? Take notes. And I know, listen, you're talking to the person where the number one phrase that if you ask anyone at my camp, what's the number one thing that Chris says? Where's my clipboard? Does anyone see my clipboard? Where is it? I know it's difficult in the moment, but like even if it's just on like an index card, during and after an activity, if someone could just jot down a couple of words about what was working and what didn't work and just drop it in a box, like some central box somewhere,
Mhm, mhm.
and you collect all that later and just gather that information,
Yeah.
it's super helpful in the moment. And again, I know what I'm asking you to do, and I understand that it's difficult. And I'm not necessarily asking you, I don't necessarily do this myself, but I think it'd be super helpful. You don't want to wait until the 10:30 p.m. staff meeting
Yeah.
to hear about what went well and what didn't. Because that staff, they've been through it since like the 2 p.m. activity period. And some things might be lost. So one, keep notes on a grander scale, something that I don't know. We're a new camp. So
Yeah.
older camps probably already have this, but like archiving things is important.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, archiving not just artifacts, right? Things that kids made or plaques or like your old schedule,
Yeah.
your old training materials,
Yep.
your old parent handbook. This will be important to you later because it marks how you have changed over
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
And my third suggestion,
Yeah.
and now's a great time to do this, by the way, right before we actually jump all the way into it with both feet. Remake your entire schedule.
Mhm.
Sit down and redo your daily schedule today.
Mhm. Mhm.
As if you had to remake it today, what would it look like? Hey, it may look exactly the same way, but the exercise just simply forces you to ask if everything continues to serve both you as the administrator and the campers and the staff. Because you might find out that, oh, wait, we really don't make enough time to go from this to the pool. Like this isn't
Anything
going
that
to work.
involves changing
Yeah, yes.
throws. Yeah.
Oh, this is why the kids are always late and the staff is always screaming at them to get out of the pool and they don't
Yeah.
want to. They
Uh-huh.
literally have only been in there for 20 minutes.
Yep.
And think about that because it takes 10 minutes to get there, not 5.
Mhm.
So just little things like that, I would suggest just remaking your schedule just as a fun exercise.
Yep. Yep. And run it as an experiment for a couple weeks and see. Okay, rapid fire stuff that I have seen work, most of which is not ours. Camp Winona, camp here in Ontario, has this tradition called Great Moments in Camping where they recognize something that somebody does every week. And they train their staff. We trained our staff to look at beyond just thanks, Chris, for looking after my cabin while I went pee.
Yeah.
It's like looking for the deep skill, special moment things that aren't always noticed. And by talking to them about it, it became tradition and people would actually write these down and file them away for when we called out great moments in camping. So that meant that they were noticing at a different level. They were looking for those extra skills that we really wanted to be our signature. Camp museums, Chris was talking about preserving things. It is
Mhm.
really fascinating to see camps that have built space as a museum
Yeah.
and
Oh, I
devoted a
love
cabin
that.
to it so that you can see the changes. And if you take a camp-wide picture every session, then they just cover the walls and old plaques and canoes that went on the first trip down this super something. All of that is an amazing way to see to observe that.
I love that. I love that. I mean, that's just fun for the kids too.
Yes, and those camps have a period called Camp Museum. The kids
Mhm.
can sign up to just go in and read through all the old notes. And I know a camp that's built on an old estate. So
Mhm.
the big house is there, the big old house is there, and it had a library in it. And that library is full of notes from every summer, handwritten notes. Someone was assigned to create a notebook of events and people. And so kids go and spend time in there just looking through that.
Kids love that.
Yeah.
Kids love every
And not
year.
all of them, but
No,
lots of
but
them. I would have
every
been
year
so nerdy into camp history nerd. Man, I would have been love that as a kid.
I'm always surprised the kids will come in and they will buy from our camp store old T-shirts
Mm,
that have like old years. They'll buy like the
mm,
2012 before they
mhm,
were born.
mhm.
They'll buy a 2012 camp T-shirt or a yearbook, which I'm
Mm.
like, you don't even know these people, right? But they're
Yeah,
just
we
so
put these out for your parents to see.
yeah, they're so excited to belong.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
yeah. Do you have rapid fire, a couple of tips or things, suggestions?
No, I think I pretty much said I no, I'm good.
Okay.
I do want to reiterate, I think my favorite thing that I've said today is just really making sure that you're asking staff and campers
Mm,
what you can do better. And
yeah.
then by extension, families and parents. I will say, just between us,
Mm,
I do find that to be less helpful when the parents give suggestions. Usually there's suggestions around communications,
yeah.
which I'm just going to go on record. Usually with communication, parents are the problem. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying like, I know. But like, if you are a camp person, you spend a lot of time already thinking about how you communicate with parents because that is your business. Like you're spending a lot of time thinking about that. A lot of parents, when we ask for feedback, they give us very idiosyncratic responses, which
Yeah,
we can't
their unique
really
situation.
yeah,
Yep,
we really
just unique life.
can't spread them across like, oh, all right. Other than we prefer email over you mailing us stuff. Great. Okay.
Mhm, mm,
But like, I really, really pressing on the campers and staff to
mm.
train them to like, what'd you think about today? We ask the campers that all the time. What'd you think about today? What was fun? You're not going to hurt my feelings. Just tell me what you thought. So that I want to reiterate that.
Well, and thank you. You
Mhm.
set me up, Chris. I often do my best to say you should hire Chris because he's awesome at this. As the communications consultant on this
Yes.
call,
I knew you
I
were going
will
to say something about
say
this. Yeah.
camps could do a hell of a lot better at communicating with parents. If I could get parents to realize how poor they at it, I could this could be my entire job is helping you
Mhm.
communicate with parents better because the stuff I see that is so basic to me because I'm used to it. I'm used to observing it. And the camps are like, well,
Yes, I am
we've
too.
used the same welcome letter since 2012. It works fine. And you're like, so anyway,
But again,
you
yes.
can train your parents to give you better feedback and
Yes. That's what I was going to say.
you can communicate better to your parents. I
Absolutely.
promise you, it will make your life so much easier.
We spend a
If
lot of time thinking about how we communicate with
yeah,
parents
yeah,
already,
yeah,
and their input in that is like third on the list of like the most important things that we're receiving.
yeah,
Like we're reading, we're talking to people like you, we're constantly working on that.
yeah,
But yeah, you can absolutely, yo,
yep,
okay. I want to say this one
go.
last thing, right? Last thing.
I've got two last things, so you go
Okay,
ahead.
good. So this is my last thing.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of this. Stop it. Your welcome letter, your packing list, your thing that you send out every year,
Mm,
you should rewrite it every year.
agreed.
Oh, Chris, we don't have time. Let me
100%.
tell you something. When you forget to cut and paste the correct date
Mm,
or change something on that, and
mm,
so it says, Dear parents, so happy to welcome your children to the 2019 session of Camp So and so, it just makes you look sloppy,
agreed.
right?
And we
People are
never want to
sending
look
their kids
sloppy.
to you. You never want to look sloppy when you're talking about people's children.
Yep. Yep.
So I know you're like, oh, but the only thing that changes is the year. Is it?
Hmm.
Maybe you should just look at the whole letter again. Just recreate it every year, and the flavor will be different every year as it should be.
And by changing the letter every year, you are forcing people to notice the letter. If
Yes.
people see the same letter for their third kid and it's the 11th year that they've been at camp, they see the same thing, like, oh, I already know that. By breaking the pattern, you make them pay more attention.
Thank
And
you.
so you do not set up a pattern. Their pattern is, oh, I have to look carefully at the letter. That's the
And
pattern.
we all complain that parents don't read.
Yeah.
We send them. This is why.
Yeah.
Because they have the expectation that it's always going to be the same.
Yeah.
And that is something that we should notice. Like that has an impact when we send them the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But the names and the date are different. It's got to
Yeah.
be something else.
Agreed. It has to look different. It has to read different.
Yeah.
Two quick things. Go back and listen to previous episodes. Hear Gabs talk about how they changed staff training at Woro. It's fascinating how much more effective it is and how thoughtful they were about it. Set up a noticing checklist for your staff because you have to train them. You have to get them to practice
Mhm.
these things.
Absolutely.
So give them some ways and times at camp to see things. And finally, an easy change that honestly I've just made this year, and I don't know why it's taking me this dang long, is change your fonts so that everybody can read them. There are fonts specific to people with dyslexia, and you can just research them. There are ones freely available in Google Docs. There's some specifically designed. Henry Winkler, the fonts, has designed a font to help
What did you
with
say?
dyslexia. Henry
Henry
Winkler,
Winkler?
yes, and he's got some children's books in that font for dyslexic kids.
Henry Winkler is so
A gem.
interesting.
Yeah, he's a gem.
Wow.
So there you go. Noticing skills. Yes, that's good enough. That moves us on to our tool of the week.
Tool of the week.
I'm going to start off, since mine is so directly relative to this. It is a book called The Art of Noticing. 131 Ways to Spark Creativity, Find Inspiration, and Discover Joy in the Everyday by Rob Walker. You can find our show notes at camphacker.tv/podcast. You'll find links to it there. It is a bunch of short little exercises. He also has a good email newsletter, which I think I've talked about the email newsletter, but I can't see it in the tool of the week list, where he gives you a few things to look for that week. And this is perfect. This is exactly relative to what we've been talking about, the art of noticing. And Chris?
Mine is super quick, maybe super political, but I want to suggest, if you're on Twitter, to move to Blue Sky, which is a Twitter-like app, which is it open source? What is it about it? It is open source, right?
Kind of. It's an open protocol that you can use on different websites, and they can all talk to each other. Like email. You don't have to use the same software to use email.
Yeah. And just generally, I'm not a huge Twitter person. I'm on Twitter because I feel like I have to be for professional reasons. But Blue Sky generally, at least right now, just seems like a safer, kinder place than Twitter has become. Or I suspect Twitter or X will become in the very near future. So if you are going to miss that kind of communication with people, if you're going to miss that kind of way of distributing information with people, then think about a move to Blue Sky. The website is bksy.app. And it's really familiar to if you use X or Twitter, it's super familiar already. It's just a little less, shall I say, hateful generally.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. Chris, if people have follow-up, how do they get in touch?
Well, if they're looking for me, just try looking behind you. Nope, just kidding. It's not it. You can find me. You can email me, chris@planetchris.net. Or if you're interested in what I'm doing with my life visually, you can follow me on Instagram @planetchris1.
Perfect. Thanks so much. If you have questions or comments, you can reach out to me, Travis at gocamp.pro. I want to take 1 second and tell you, you should be listening to the Camp Owners Pod. Even if you're not a camp owner, they have such good guests and great thoughtful discussion. You will learn good things. Thank you all very much for listening. Thank you for your comments on YouTube. And as we said earlier, your ratings in your podcast app. Thanks for the evening, friends.
The Camp Hacker podcast is brought to you by Beth and Travis Allison, summer camp leadership training and marketing consultants. Thanks for listening.
Hey Camp Pros, we love that our industry is built on sharing. In order to foster that spirit, if you've gotten even one good idea from a Go Camp Pro podcast, a masterclass, from the Summer Camp Pros group on Facebook, at a conference, or wherever else, we ask that you give credit where credit is due. That way, we can encourage camp pros to keep freely sharing their brilliant ideas and make the camp industry better. Thanks very much.
Hey, it's Travis. Camp directors often tell me they're just too tired to take on anything new. That's exactly why my free Resilient Camp Blueprint Diagnostic exists. It doesn't add work, it shows you progress. Quick, free, repeatable, you'll know if your systems are paying off without the guesswork. Try it today at camp.mba/Travis. That's camp.mba/Travis.